Hi, this is Tim back with another video in the Now What series. I created the Now What series specifically for my existing clients so that they could be fully informed and confident about what to expect next in the process. Often many of these things we will discuss in person as well, but I want to make sure you're fully informed. If you have any questions I don't cover today, please get in touch and let me know. If you think it would be helpful for other clients, write it in the comment below and we'll make a video specifically about that topic. Let's get to it. Today we're talking about the inspection process while we're under due diligence. You may remember that I told you that in a typical transaction for real estate, there are 3 points in which we can negotiate. Typically, we would negotiate for the price when we sign the contract. That's the first point. The second one is after the inspections are done during the due diligence process. And the third point of negotiating is after the appraisal is done. Lots of sellers ask me, what type of inspections can they do? Well, buyers can do all sorts of inspections, and the due diligence period is specifically for them to do any inspection that they want to. It's a time period that protects the buyer, allows them to inspect the property, during which, under most contracts, they can terminate the contract for any or no reason at all. So inspections are very important for the buyer to feel confident in the property. But what kind of inspections can they do? Well, they can do a home inspection, they can do a termite inspection, they can do a pool inspection, they could do a roof inspection. I've seen radon inspections. There's all sorts of inspections that buyers can do, and they can do any or all or none of those. In addition, if the property has any large portion of land, often a buyer will have a survey done by a survey company to make sure the lines are correct and to understand exactly how much land they're purchasing. Good news for you is all of the costs of our inspections are on the buyer. The buyer must pay for all of these inspections, so you don't have to worry about paying anything out of pocket for these inspections. However, I do recommend that you expect to be away from the property during the inspection. It's much easier for the buyer, the buyer's inspector, and the buyer's agent if they're able to fully comb through the property together, explore, and discuss any issues without you there. A typical home inspection will take anywhere from 3 to 4 hours for a standard property. However, larger homes can take longer. I had a 5,000 square foot house that took about 6 hours a few weeks ago, so just keep that in mind. A larger property may take longer. You do not have to leave, it just makes it easier for the buyer, who's typically present, with the inspector and the buyer's agent to have conversations without you there. If they're doing a specific type of inspection like a roof inspection or a pool inspection or a termite inspection, you probably don't even need to leave for that. Just the main home inspection is the one that's important to leave. Well, buyers ask me all the time, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Well, I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. First of all, there are 3 outcomes that will happen no matter what. 1, the buyer will proceed as agreed without changing anything. That's the first option. Second option is that the buyer has the right to terminate. If for some reason or no reason that they do not want to purchase the property, they can terminate the agreement altogether, and typically if it's done within the due diligence period, they will retain their earnest money. The third option is if they find something in the inspection that is concerning to them, they can ask to negotiate. So this will be the second point of negotiating in the sales process. That negotiation can take one of 3 different ways. They may ask you to do repairs, so that's the first thing. They may say, look, there's a broken window, would you repair the broken window? Second thing they could do is ask for an adjustment in price. That's common as well. The most common one is number 3, is which they ask for a seller concession, in which they ask you to contribute to their closing costs, and they'll handle the situation later at their own dime and time. Those are the 3 things that can happen as far as negotiating, but all of those fall into one of the 3 things that will happen during the due diligence period. Let's be clear. Inspectors will find things wrong with your property. That's their job. No home is perfect. What's important for you to understand is have the expectation is the inspector will find things. That's what they're trained to do. Just had a property about 2 months ago. Property was 7 months old, brand new. Inspector found several things that needed to be taken care of. They're not major things usually. However, the inspector will find some things, so I just want to set expectations that they will find things that need to be done with the property. Here's where some advice and experience comes in. Most of the time, I advise my clients against doing repairs. The reason is because it's such a gray area. It's difficult for us to understand exactly what the buyer wants and communicate that to a contractor and get all the work done in a way that is satisfactory to you and to the buyer. For that reason, typically what I say is, if a buyer finds something that's major during the inspection process and they ask you to take care of it, I will normally advise you to offer some sort of a financial incentive instead, just to save you hassle and frustration. First of all, contractors are very expensive right now, and they're very busy. They may not be able to get to the work very quickly. But most importantly, after the work's done and you've paid for it, it may not meet the standard of the buyer. In that case, you will have wasted your money. It's my job to protect your financial interests, and so for that case, I typically advise a financial agreement or concession instead of a physical repair. Think about yourself. If you were buying a property and the inspector said it needed a roof, would you trust the seller to get the best, good quality roof on the property? Or would you expect that they're probably going to find the least priced roof on the property? And that's what most buyers think as well. So typically in that situation, it's best for us to come to some sort of agreement on a price concession or some sort of a cost that will allow the buyer to do what they need to do, but not put the burden on you to do a physical repair. I don't say always, I say typically. If you have questions about this, please let me know. The good news is, once we come to an agreement about repairs or costs or concessions, at that point due diligence is over and we move on to the next step of the process, which is preparing for the appraisal. I'll see you in the next video. If you're not sure how to select a real estate agent, make sure and check out my video on how to select the best real estate agent to sell your property.